Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing in my altered book series, creating crazy backgrounds. So this is my altered book that I am working on. It's a portrait book. It's got 100 male and female portraits in it by Jane Brown. It's just called Portraits by Jane Brown. I bought it at a garage sale for like $5. People have been asking me where to get the book. It's out of print. It's very expensive. If you find a copy, what I would suggest you do is just go and find a portrait, coffee table book, or even just a fashion magazine, and do the same sort of thing based on that if you wanted to have a go or something similar. But basically, all I'm doing is using the large faces and then creating cool collages around it. So I'm just starting out by blocking out where his body is, and then going in with some crazy color paints in the background, nice and bright colors, which I really love. And then just to blend it all together, I'm going over with this loopy stencil, which I think is from Natalie May Scrapbooking. I find when I'm doing backgrounds like this, which have lots of different patches of color in the background, by having a unifying force over the top, like stenciling white over it or black over it, just really helps to get rid of sort of those harsh edges, I suppose, of where the colours meet. So it sort of all blends together a little bit. If you accidentally get sponging on the character itself, you can just use a wet wipe and wipe it off. One of the reasons I really love working in this book is though because the paper's quite thick, so I've been working on both sides of these pages. I haven't had any bleed through. It takes glue, it takes paint, it takes heat. Everything I've thrown at it, it's taken. So it's been really, really fun to work in. So now I'm just going in again with some stamping, just again to add the craziness to the background. I've got a mix of foam stamps, I've got regular stamps, and I'm just sort of playing around with it as much as possible. I really love this little foam stamp with the circle on it, especially with the neon ink. But if you didn't have something like that, the end of a toilet roll holder or the end of a washi tape, if you sort of dip that into paint, that would work really, really well. I find with if I'm doing really crazy backgrounds on collage pieces like this, I like to have a little bit of black to balance it up. So I'm going in and continuing his black coat. And then I'm going in with paint pens to colour in the rest. Now, obviously, I could use paint to do this. It's exactly the same thing. I just find I have more control when I use paint pens. I'm not brilliant at using fine brushes, so if I can help myself out in any way, I will, and that's where paint pens come in really, really handy for me. So this is the bit I really love about doing these sorts of things, because it's where you can add your creativity to the piece itself. With the black and white portraiture, sometimes some of the detail in the clothes gets lost. So I can add in the lapel of the jacket, I can make them have a bright pink and white spotty tie. It adds so much fun to the end image, and it doesn't need to be realistic, which is the most fun thing about it. It can be as wacky as you love. So once I've finished that, I'm then putting in some detail into his face. Again, it's certainly not necessary, but I find adding some white into the eyes, particularly the catch-all, just helps bring them back to life again a little bit. I also decided he needed some really funky hair, so he's gone pink for the day with a pink moustache, pink eyebrows, and a pink afro. Just because, why not? This is where, you can go as crazy or as subtle as you like. Some people might be happy just doing crazy background and having him sitting there. Other people like me just like to push the boat out a little bit. I've then decided I'm going to go in. I had some white paint left over, so why not use it up? So he's getting a spotty clothes. I do find that when I'm doing stuff like this, I end up sort of sticking with fairly simple shapes and patterns. They are all random. In sizes. I find I do that quite a lot, but I do tend to stick a lot to stripes and dots just because I really, really like them. Because the gesso went on a little bit transparent, I'm just going over and boosting up the colour of some of them and then drying it again. So one of the things I find when I am doing stuff like this is I do dry my work quite regularly, because I am a sucker for putting my hand into wet paint. Do it all the time. So just be aware that it is a good idea, rule of thumb, to make sure that everything is dry as you go. Even paint pen, because while it dries fairly quickly, my hands move pretty quickly across the page too, and I usually end up putting my fingers in it somewhere. With my dots, just to finish them off, I'm going in with the pink and adding a bit of highlight. You'll find in a lot of collages I do with stuff like this, I tend to use the similar colours. So I'll usually have a pink, a yellow, a green, a turquoise sitting out, and it's probably just because they're usually sitting out on my desk. They're the colours I tend to grab most often, but I find, I suppose, I'm comfortable with those colours, and those are the ones I go for most often. So it's just interesting how that ends up. So once I've finished doodling around with the hair and the eyes and everything else, and adding more and more and more and more coats to everything, then I'll start to think about what I'm going to write in the background. One of the things I find about doing collages like this is a really good time wasters if you want to keep your hand busy, because you can just keep adding detail. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't need to make sense, and it's just a lot of fun, particularly when you're using lots of cool colours. Then I'm going in and writing a big quote on my page. So this one says, "I'm down to earth." And I'm just kind of trying to fit in as much as I possibly can. So those people who follow my channel know that I tend to use paint pen a lot when I'm doing this. Because everything I've done is acrylic, that works quite well for me. If you want to draw it out beforehand, go for it. I just struggle with that. I suck with pencil. I press too hard and it goes everywhere. So I prefer to use paint pen. So once I've written down my letters, obviously I'm going to dry it, and I'm going to go around with my my alcohol marker in a dark grey to put a drop shadow on. You can see already the difference that makes to pushing the lettering out from the background. So you can use similar colours that you use in the background, but by putting a shadow or a highlight on them, it makes such a huge difference. Now I'm going to go around and actually outline the entire letter, which again I don't usually do, but it just helps to really make them blocky and really stand out on the page, particularly because the page is so nuts. Having something that stands out really works. Finally, I'm going in with my white paint pen just to add the highlights. And again, this just helps to finish off the letters. It seems like a lot of extra work, but it does make a huge difference in the end, from where you first had those yellow letters on the page to how they look now. So this is a final piece. All that's really left is his face, but it's a really fun process to do. And as I said, like, just grab anything. It could be an old photo of you that you stick down on a page and do something too. So have a go, have fun, and until next time, bye for now.